Hello and welcome back to another video. It is December and the ScrawlrBox has come through the letterbox. It is thick. There's no giving to this box at all. It is thick, it's heavy. We have our Christmas pyjamas on whilst I open this. It arrived and I've not had time to open it till late. So let's dive straight into this box. I'm very, very excited to see what we are going to end the year on. And I thought that I was trying to make that more dramatic, but I forgot that it is always wrapped up, isn't it? So you're not going to see what's in it. Let's remove the box quickly. Okay, so let's have a look at this featured artwork first. Very blue. There's a lot of glare from my lights. I do apologise. Let's see if I can move that. Oh, hello, Freddie. Okay, let's have a look. So the featured artwork. Very interesting. It's obviously some sort of humanoid or human form in some sort of oil pastel, maybe? Interesting. I like this. I like this lovely blue theme we've got going on. Very, very interested. We have ScrawlrBox blue paper pad. So we're working on blue paper today. Again, very interesting, something not normal. So that is just 240 GSM paper. It feels very smooth, a bit like Bristol board type paper. Let's get into the supplies. Very excited. They've just left a load of chalky dust on my desk over there where I just had them. So I can only imagine it's not oil pastels, but chalk instead. Okay, so this looks like a very nice set. Slightly sad that this is the last box of the year because me and chalk and charcoal and graphite do not mix. Our sweet this month is a Swizzles. I don't know what flavour this is, so I will pop it up on screen what my rating of this sweet is. And again, if it's sour or not, I don't suppose it will be, but I will let you know. The Scrawlr sticker is a segment of that featured artwork. Very, very nice. Now, the two things here, we have Compressed Grey Tones Charcoal by Sea Whites of Brighton, and then we have the ScrawlrBox Derwent XL Tinted Charcoal Blocks. Now, the tinted charcoal blocks I do have a set of, and I do actually very much like, but this is what is causing all of this dust, which is all over my desk currently. It's everywhere. So let me throw that over there. This might be quite a clean up. The nice set of these. Actually, is it charcoal box have I got, or is it graphite blocks? It might be graphite box actually, so they're not quite charcoal. But the ones I have are water soluble, so I'd be interested to see if these are also water soluble. But we have the colour Forest Pine there, and we also have the colour, what does that say? Ochre. The colour ochre. So very interested to try those. I'm very interested to see whether they are water soluble, similar to the graphite blocks that I do have. And then these Compressed Grey Tones Charcoal. Let's get into this box. Okay, so oh, very nice. Oh, that's a lovely looking box. It's very aesthetically pleasing. But as it says on the box, it is compressed charcoal in a selection of grey tones. So this, like I say, this is not my favourite medium, and I can't say I'm the most excited about this, especially being the final box, but the quality of the supply is very nice. They've not given us any implements to use with these, so for blending we don't have a blending stump or anything like that, so I'll be interested to see, and especially if these are water soluble, it would have been nice to have a paintbrush, but then I guess how many paintbrushes can you have included in a box? But as you can see, my desk is filthy. This is going to be a very messy challenge. So let's pop these here and have a little flick through the zine. So a little bit more. So this says, a perfect for big expressive sweeps and all sorts of glorious mark making. Two gorgeous earthy tones for adding a subtle pop colour to the grey tone palette. Okay, so we have the ochre and the forest pine. So I don't know how saturated this colour is, but I like the two colours. It will add a really nice pop, and I guess that's what's been used here to add those pops. Very interesting, very, very interesting. So a little bit more about the scrawler artist. I actually didn't flick this over, did I? No. The featured artist is Derek Overfield, creating powerful and expressive figures that would feel at home in both the ancient and contemporary world. I can see that. Very interesting. But there are Derek's socials. Very nice. And then there's obviously a little bit more in the zine here. Then we have some scrawler tips and things to try. There we go. These blocks are water soluble, but I'll read a bit more of those as I usually do as we swatch the supplies, but very nice that they are water soluble. More scrawler tips there. And some more behind the artwork. And then the scrawler gallery. So this is artworks from 2 boxes prior. If you hashtag scrawler challenge, you may have the chance to be featured. Some very lovely artworks here. This is when we had Land and Water, and it was when we had the Karin Real Brush Pro pens and the Lyra Rembrandt Polycolour pencils. Very, very nice. We got frog there. I think I did 3 little frogs hanging off a branch. I really enjoyed this challenge, very, very much so. And then the scrawler top 3 are these 3. Very interesting, very different takes on the challenge, very different styles as well. Very, very nice. Then we have scrawler extra, staff stash. So this is asking some of the scrawler staff some questions about what they carry in their kit. So very, very nice. Then the scrawler extra is about abandoned artwork. So we're leaning into what it said on here about the artwork fitting into ancient or the contemporary world. And our ScrawlrBox challenge is unfinished business. So that's quite a broad challenge. We could definitely do a very vast number of things with that. But I'm intrigued to see what we come up with and to see how I can use these where I feel less messy, because that's really where I dislike this type of supply. But we will see what we can come up with unfinished business and these supplies. Alright, so we're back to swatching them all out, and as you will see in a moment, you will see the differences between that compressed charcoal and those XL charcoal Derwent blocks. The Sea White's charcoal here that you can see is much harder, much more crumbly, I would say, but still soft. It was still surprisingly soft. It's a very good quality material that they've given us here. As for the Derwent XL blocks, they were a lot softer, and although in here, in the scrawler tips, it does say the XL blocks are compacted to a dense format, which means you have all the benefits of charcoal but with less crumbling. The problem was the box that they came in was a lot thicker than our ScrawlrBox, and with that being sat potentially on top of our zine and everything else, it got a little crushed, and that's why there was so much crumbling in my box and all over my desk, and it was because those charcoal blocks got crushed, which is a bit of a shame. So they're not as pristine and nice as maybe you would want them to be, being brand new, but they were lovely to work with, and like I say, very soft, very good quality. And like I said as well, I have used their graphite versions before, and the charcoal was much the same, a lovely soft pigment, and when you add water to them they become a lovely opaque thick pigment and beautiful opaque colour. So they were very, very nice. This says the basics. The greys of the compressed charcoal might look the same, but they all have a varying level. The harder you press, the darker the tone on the page. Switch up your pressure for visual interest. Thick, use the flat longer side for filling in larger areas. Thin, use the pointed parts for outlining. They also say you can use it as a soft powder, you can crumble it, use your fingers, blend, apply to the page. Really, really nice. It also says if you're not a fan of touching the charcoal, you can use a dry paintbrush or even a cotton bud to apply your powder to the page. Mark making. Each side of the block will create different widths and thicknesses, add a variation of pressure, and you have yourself a mark making party. So they're the basic scrawler tips that they've included. Nothing too detailed, but they do have a whole page where you can practice your supplies in a way that they've already shown you, so that you can have a bit of inspiration if you're lacking that. But I really enjoy the swatching in general, so I just did a simple swatch of all the sea whites pastels on there, just in lines like that. And as it said, it looks like some of these colours are very similar. The first 3 top colours look very, very similar, but they do have a variety of colours, like hues in there. And as I'm showing you here, I'm overlaying a few of them. They automatically blend as you apply them to the page, and I really like that you can use this tinted blue paper as kind of an extra colour in there. And as you've noticed, these greys are actually very warm greys. There's not much coolness in them. They're very much warm, so I feel like they've paired the colours very well with these thick Derwent blocks, so that they are also warm in shade, because there's nothing worse than trying to pair 2 different supplies that are very, very different in colour, very different in hue, saturation, that sort of thing, whereas I feel like they've paired these sea whites and the Derwent blocks very, very nicely. So for my take on Unfinished Business, I kind of was very inspired by the fact that a lot of the featured artists' work, Derek's work, was very much human features, hands, that sort of thing. So I decided to lean into hands a little bit instead of going to nature like I usually would. And the first thing I thought of was unfinished artwork. How many of us have got unfinished artwork or artwork we don't like? And in the back of the zine, they actually have a quote from Leonardo da Vinci: "Art is never finished, only abandoned." And I feel like that is so, so true. So I thought, why not do a hand kind of painting a piece of artwork and it's unfinished? That's my take on Unfinished Business, and I feel like it fits the brief quite well. I started off with mid-tones first. I thought that was the safest option. Now, obviously, depending on the medium, you'd start with light or dark skin tones and work your way in the opposite direction. But with these, because I'm very unfamiliar with them, probably dislike them the most out of most mediums, I decided to go for a safe bet of doing a mid-tone first and layering up lights and darks on top of that. So I went mid-tone, I added some white here, then I went in with the Derwent block before this, just to add the colour, the more yellowy tone, and then I start to layer up the dark colours as well. But I think the key with this, as with most art actually, is layering is your friend. I didn't want to use my finger to blend anything, so I was letting the charcoal blocks just do the work for me, create very painterly style, very block colour, very, I don't know, cell shaded? I don't know if that's the right term for this type of work, but I kind of wanted to show those expressive lines that I was creating with the charcoal blocks and not have too much blending going on other than the blending created by the blocks themselves. But I think layering, it definitely goes through some ugly stages like now, but I think the layering really, really helped of the different colours, and I started to really flesh out what is shaded, what is hit by the highlights, and it really starts to make it look more like a hand very shortly, because at the moment it doesn't look too much like a hand. But I really like the way I do the canvas very shortly, and the shading on there. I think I use the different parts of the charcoal block really, really well, and I think it shows that I've kind of utilised these blocks in varying different ways, and it was very fun to use actually. Afterwards these words did come out of my mouth that maybe I'd like to start trying to be a bit messier with my art, maybe try and be a bit more expressive, and that might creep its way into my goals video for 2025, so stay tuned for that. But for now, I'm going to leave you with the finishing of this artwork and some lovely pastel noises, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I, in the end, enjoyed these supplies. I've been very surprised by a lot of the ScrawlrBoxes this year, and I'm excited to try out some more, but this was just a nice quick taster for now, but I will probably delve in a little bit more and see how I get on. But for now, enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.